Welcome to World Insight. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. Let's talk tariffs, those complicated taxes on imports that can turn the gears of global trade and send shockwaves through the halls of Congress. Right now, Washington is in a state of uproar, as the latest round of tariffs has thrown both parties into disarray and sparked fierce debate on Capitol Hill. President Trump's latest move? A sweeping 10% tariff slapped on nearly every imported good. A bold and controversial step that's rattling markets and allies alike. And if that wasn't enough, there's an extra punch aimed squarely at Canada, America's neighbor and longtime trading partner. The Republican Party is in meltdown. Leaders are forced to publicly back Trump's aggressive stance, but behind closed doors, they're scrambling to contain the fallout, worried about the political and economic consequences. They're caught in a political vice. Squeezed between a base that cheers for America First policies and demands tough action, and a chorus of economists and business leaders warning that these tariffs could trigger a full-blown economic disaster, hurting American workers and consumers. Speaker Mike Johnson and other top Republicans are dodging a real vote on the issue, using every trick in the congressional playbook to avoid taking a clear stand that could alienate either the base or the business community. The party's divisions are on full display, MAGA loyalists demanding loyalty to Trump, old guard free traders warning of long-term damage, fiscal hawks fretting over deficits, and nervous moderates fearing backlash at the polls. All these factions are pulling in different directions, making it nearly impossible to find common ground or a unified message. The official reason for targeting Canada? Fentanyl trafficking, an issue that's real, but critics say it's a flimsy pretext for launching a trade war with a close ally. The move has strained relations with Canada, leaving diplomats and trade officials scrambling to salvage decades of cooperation and trust. Now, the GOP is left navigating a crisis they can neither fully support nor openly oppose, trapped in a political storm of their own making, with no easy way out. In a move that stunned both allies and critics, Trump declared a national emergency, pointing the finger at Canada for the fentanyl crisis, despite the fact that only 43 pounds of fentanyl were seized at the entire northern border last year, a minuscule amount in the grand scheme of drug enforcement. For comparison, over 21,000 pounds were intercepted at the southern border with Mexico, an overwhelming majority of the total. But the real impact of this emergency declaration isn't about drugs, it's about economics. In states like Maine, a paper mill that depends on Canadian pulp now faces devastation from a proposed 25% tariff, threatening to upend an entire community's way of life. This isn't just a theoretical debate, it's real people, real jobs, and real families suddenly thrown into uncertainty, all because of a policy built on shaky, selective statistics. US-Canada trade, once a model of seamless cooperation, is now in jeopardy. Industries like auto manufacturing, which rely on cross-border supply chains, are suddenly at risk of grinding to a halt. Canada's response: retaliatory tariffs, hitting back at American exports and escalating the crisis into a full-blown trade standoff. The administration's rationale is so flimsy it raises a fundamental question. Are these actions truly about national security, or are they just political theater designed to rally a base? Now GOP leaders in border states are caught in a brutal dilemma: back Trump and risk devastating their own economies, or defy him and face political exile, possibly losing support from their own party and voters. The result? A manufactured crisis that's spiraling out of control, threatening to become a real trade war with consequences far beyond the border. The absurdity is breathtaking. America's own economy is now the hostage, and Canada has become the convenient scapegoat for a much larger political drama. Is this a calculated negotiating tactic, a show for the base, or simply a president with a hammer who sees only nails, regardless of the collateral damage? Whatever the reason, the fallout is painfully real. Factories shutter, families pack up, and entire towns face an uncertain future. In the end, the nightmare is of their own making. A crisis, born not of necessity, but of political calculation, with ordinary Americans left to pick up the pieces. Over in the House, Speaker Mike Johnson is dodging the tariff fallout with procedural sleight of hand. When Democrats tried to force a vote to cancel Trump's tariffs, Johnson's team blocked it in committee. Classic delay tactics. The House could have joined the Senate in rebuking the tariffs, but Johnson buried the issue, terrified of exposing party rifts. With a razor-thin majority, every vote is a high-wire act. One wrong move could topple the agenda. For Johnson, obstruction isn't just strategy, it's survival. Meanwhile, Elise Stefanik champions Trump's protectionism, adding to the leadership's balancing act. The House isn't leading, it's managing a crisis of its own making, one procedural trick at a time. The American economy is the one left hanging. The Senate drama unfolded in 2 acts, each revealing a different side of the chamber's political soul. In the ornate halls of Congress, where every vote is a performance, the stakes were high and the division sharp. First, a rare rebellion. 4 Republicans broke ranks and joined Democrats to repeal Trump's tariffs on Canadian goods. For a brief moment it looked like bipartisanship might prevail, a flash of sanity in a deeply polarized era. The move was cheered by businesses and workers who had felt the sting of the tariffs, and it sent a ripple of hope through the Capitol. But when a broader vote to reverse all global tariffs came up, the rebellion fizzled. Only 3 Republicans crossed over this time, and the measure failed in a dramatic 49-49 tie. The chamber, so recently united, was once again split down the middle, and the moment of unity vanished as quickly as it had appeared. Senate Majority Leader John Thune worked behind the scenes, persuading moderates that opposing global tariffs would mean undoing the tough tariffs on China, something no Republican wanted to be seen supporting. The message was clear: party loyalty came first, even if it meant swallowing policies some privately disliked. Meanwhile, Trump amped up the pressure, turning the vote into a public loyalty test. Senators knew that defying him could mean political peril back home, as Trump's base watched closely for any sign of disloyalty. The result? The GOP is willing to push back on specific unpopular policies when the political cost is low, but it won't challenge the core America First ideology that defines the party's brand. The leadership keeps the conference tightly in line, wary of open dissent. Senators from states hit hardest by tariffs, like those in the Midwest, feel the heat from local businesses and voters. Yet, party leaders keep the ranks tight, reminding everyone of the bigger political picture. The party talks out of both sides of its mouth, helping a Maine paper mill one week, upholding global tariffs the next. It's not about principle, it's about political survival, and the need to balance local interest with national party demands. In the end, the split vote exposes the GOP's internal conflict, a party caught between its traditional economic values and the populist wave that now defines it. Trump's tariff announcement landed just as the Commerce Department revealed the U.S. economy had shrunk for the first time in 3 years. Instead of caution, the administration doubled down, sending markets into a tailspin. Tariffs aren't paid by foreign countries. They're a tax on American importers, passed on to consumers. The backlash was so fierce, Trump paused the tariffs for 90 days, a tacit admission he'd overreached. Businesses remain in limbo, unable to plan for a future that could change with a tweet. The episode exposes the dangers of populist politics colliding with economic reality. America First sounds good at rallies, but when prices spike and the economy shrinks, the calculus changes. The pause is no solution, just a temporary ceasefire in a self-inflicted economic war. Beneath the tariff fight is a deeper struggle for the GOP's soul. Once the party of free trade and fiscal conservatism, the GOP is now torn between Trump's economic nationalism and its old orthodoxy. The Freedom Caucus demands deep spending cuts, the Senate wants moderation, and Trump pushes for tax cuts and military spending. Speaker Johnson's slim majority can't satisfy all sides. Every budget move risks revolt. The party is paralyzed, unable to govern or deliver on Trump's promises. For many, loyalty to Trump's ideology. For others, principle still matters. The result: a party at war with itself, unable to answer what it stands for in the Trump era. The tariff fight is just the latest flashpoint in a long-simmering identity crisis. The GOP's divisions are now impossible to ignore. Where does this leave us? A president's signature policy is so toxic, his own party won't vote on it. The Senate condemns tariffs on Canada, but won't reject them outright. The economy is faltering, and the GOP is too divided to govern. Leaders like Johnson and Thune aren't leading. They're desperately managing chaos. Trump's agenda is stalled. Without party unity, his promises are empty. The GOP's Faustian bargain, loyalty over principle, has left it defending damaging policies and paralyzed by internal conflict. As the party flees from the consequences of its own choices, the real question is, who's actually in charge? Because right now, it looks like no one.